Hello, everyone. This is Isaac Wu again, also known as Hong Yao Wu. And today I will be talking about a quite an important aspect of community interpreting. Is teamwork in community interpreting or interpreting in general, from my perspective, of course. So, as you may recall from my previous videos, teamwork is not mentioned anywhere in any of those videos. It's mostly about how you should perform at various situations and scenarios. So today, I would like to talk about how important it is for an interpreter to perform successfully to for the team when you need to um, involve a teamwork. So teamwork essentially is almost everywhere in a community interpreting scenario. So as you may imagine, when you go and interpret for any setting, could it be medical setting? Could it be police settings? And it could be for example, a legal law court settings. Any of those actually require a fair bit of teamwork. So there are quite a few parties that actually involved in community interpreting, besides the interpreter and the two clients, of course. So in today's video, I will talk about a few parties that may involve in the process of conducting community interpreting, as well as how they may help you if you cooperate with them, properly, and when they actually work with you as a team. So let's get started. First of all, I would like to talk about the interpreting or translation agencies. So agencies is, of course, various agencies are the primary source of interpreting assignments or jobs in Australia. So these agencies had all the contracts and contact with all the big hospitals, government departments, various service providers, as well as resources to private clients. These agencies, including some of the regional agencies, some of them are national agencies, some of them are, in fact, one of them, the translation and interpreting service by Department of Home Affairs. These are the agencies that you have to work with for, I would say, 99% of your assignments as a community interpreter. So agencies, they are your best friend if you can build up a good relationship or a cohesive team with them. Okay, so first of all, these agencies or various agencies that you are engaging with, they are actually the source of all your jobs. For example, you as a individual interpreter, your contact or your exposure to the rest of the community is rather narrow. You might know a dozen, 2 dozen, or even 100 friends in your community. However, not all of them requires interpreting service. Not all of them may know people who require your service. Only professional agencies. These are the people who are able to provide a platform where they will connect various interpreters and all the required clients together. Different clients such as hospitals and government agency like the police, when they need an interpreter, first place they will go to, or first resource that they will speak to, are various agencies that they had one sign-up contract with. So these agencies who sign contract with various service provider in the community, they at the same time sign contract with individual interpreters and translators like myself. So they are like the middleman who will connect the supply side of the market and the demand side of the market together. So whenever there's a need, there are plenty of interpreting resources available. The agencies are the one who cohesively put them together, get them in touch, and meet this market equilibrium. So agencies, they are number one most important part of your interpreting team. So this agency, they almost like your employers. For example, one of the agency, they have done so many on-site or telephone interpreting assignment for them that sometimes, they treat me as a full-time employee. But actually, I'm just a casual, or in some cases, I am just a independent contractor. So this agency, they have so many jobs, so much resource in their hand that they can sometimes, if you have a good relationship with them, they will keep come back to you and offer you with all the jobs available. And sometimes when you had a good relation with the agency and a particular client, they may actually request the same interpreter, i.e. myself, over and over and over again. So agency are the one who could actually act as a middleman. They actually organize and integrate all these resources, the supply and the demand, and create this business transaction. So agency, they are technically your employer in a sense where you actually had to rely a lot on the emails or on the phone call from the agent who tells you that on such and such a day, such and such a time, a potential client may require interpreting service from you. So agents, they are the one who you have to work with. So beside providing job opportunities, interpreting agents, they actually help you with troubleshooting. For example, whenever you go into somewhere to a client, you might get lost, you might be late for the job, there may be heavy traffic, you have trouble finding the parking. So instead of talking to the client itself, you usually have to go through the agency. There will be a liaison office or a job office from any particular agency. You will call them to report that you may be late, you may be got stuck on the traffic, you might have trouble finding a parking, you might even have trouble finding the place. The agent are the one who will call your clients, and they will be the one who gets all the information, pass on your message, gets the direction, and ultimately help you to complete this on-site interpreting jobs. And agency, they are ultimately your largest source of income as a community interpreter or translator in Australia context, of course, because from my understanding, the majority of my colleagues, they got most of their income from agencies. So some of them made up to 100% of their annual income. They are all from agencies. They work just for the agents, various agents, or sometimes if they establish a close connection with one or two particular agency, they might just work for them full time. I'll give you an example. For example, I used to go to this place called AAT, known as Administrative Appeal Tribunal. I go there almost every single week. However, these government bodies, they will not, take the risk or spend their time looking for individual interpreters or translators to provide service for them. They usually try to engage a viable and reputable agency, where this agency will serve as a rather reliable source of professional interpreters. And one of them, I wouldn't name them, but this agency actually got the contract with the Administrative Appeal Tribunal. And I, as the interpreter who were also engaged by my agent, they will actually assign or offer this job to me and say that on such and such day there will be a client who speaks only Mandarin or Cantonese who will go through the tribunal, have to speak through the tribunal member, and they don't understand English, and they have to go through this complex, legal procedure. And my agency will actually call me or send out a email on the system. And this system is very interesting, where the same email can be sent to all the interpreters who speaks the same language. So exact same job, exact same email may be received by hundreds or even thousands of interpreters at the same time. And if one of the interpreters, such as myself, know that, okay, I will be available on that day at that particular time to go to that particular place to interpret for the client, I will click accept. And at the same time, other colleagues of yours may click accept at the same time. And it is entirely up to your luck and how fast your internet is for the system to pick up your availabilities, and they will assign you to the job. This is how the whole thing starts. Your engagement with your agency starts at this moment. And once that's done, agency will be sending you a confirmation email letting you know that you have been assigned with a particular job. Once again, I use the example of the AAT, Administrative Appeal Tribunal. So they will tell you that, okay, now this is the job. It has been assigned to you. It will list all the details, such as the time, the location, or address, or sometimes they might provide you with client details. Okay, the name, the last name of the client. Of course, if it is in a tribunal or a hospital, they usually have their own reference number, a UR number, a reference number, a case number, and this number often appear on your confirmation email. And you will have to keep this confirmation email for your information. So on the day of the job, you will have to arrive at the venue, preferably before the designated start time. Usually is advised to be 5 to 15 minutes, so you better get out of your home quite early. And usually as tribunal, they might have the start time 10 to 15 minutes early. However, it is not all the case. For hospitals and for private clinics, police station, especially Vic Roads, the authority that issues driver's license in Victoria, Australia, they actually require you to arrive on time. They'll give you 5 minutes. And after 5 minutes, your job will be canceled. And despite that you may arrive later or you are already on the way, they won't pay you. So these are the time where agency will let you know all the details, where, when, who. Those important details will be all set up in the confirmation email. And once you got that, you have to keep it in your phone or keep it with yourself. And then on the day of the task, you will just go to the client according to the instruction written on the confirmation email. And if there are any changes of the condition or situation, if the client has changed their mind, they might want to change the time, they might have to start a bit early, or they might want to extend the job. For example, you were booked for 1 hour, now they need your service for 2 hours. They could give you an updated email, and it's entirely up to you. You have the right to click accept the update or decline the update. There are a few cases where I was assigned to a job, an on-site job. The agency eventually sent me a confirmation email saying that, for example, next Monday from 10 o'clock to 11:30. However, later the job was, maybe the doctor would like to see a few more clients who speaks my language at the same time. So instead of an hour and a half, they want to extend this job to 12 o'clock. However, I had another job after this, which starts at 12:30, and the traffic will be taking too long for me to get to the next job on time. So you are entitled to decline this new offer from the client or from your agency. That's entirely okay. If any condition or situation that is out of your control, you as the interpreter, you are more than welcome or more than entitled to refuse the update. Now, we've been spending like almost 15 minutes on agency. Now, let's talk about clients. Now, I know who you're interpreting with, okay? As I mentioned in the previous video, there are always two parties. A party that speaks English, a party who speaks your language. These two parties are known as your clients. The non-English speaking clients, the professional clients. You, of course, you are a professional interpreter. So when you go and work for them or you interpret for them, essentially you are not dealing with machines. You have to deal with people. So there are other. So therefore, all the basic standard etiquette you need to go. You need to keep in mind, such as arriving on time. Arriving on time, I couldn't stress this, anymore. That arriving on time is perhaps the most important thing to be aware of as an interpreter, because some of the everyone in this very fast-paced society, they don't want to wait for anyone else. They want to start on time. They want to leave on time. They want to get home early. They want to get to their lunchtime early. So it's always advisable for you to arrive on time. So being on time, keeping yourself up to date. If you are going to be late, you should always call your agency to let the agent know that, okay, I will be late due to whatsoever reason. Maybe I was on the train, but the train got stopped. The train has to stop the service due to a police investigation in the train station that I'm getting into. So I have to get out of the train, go on the bus, and it will take much longer. So you have to, tell your agent, which in turn will tell your client to let them know. And most of your clients, they're quite understanding. All they want is to get your service. They just want to understand what their client is talking about and get the problem resolved. So you should always establish this good relationship with your clients by arriving on time. Dress up appropriately, if not professionally. As you can look at me now, this is a little shirt, button-up shirt. Usually I'll have this last button up as well when I go to work. But no, now we are just in the middle of the video, so I think you understand. Dress up appropriately, act professionally. Whenever you arrive, you should always introduce who you are. And then this person that you will always encounter with are the front desk staff. No matter you're in a lawyer's office, in a hospital, a clinic, you will always have to sign up or sign in a front desk. The front desk staff are sometimes your best friend, but sometimes could be your worst enemy. Depends on how you establish this connection between you and them. You usually arrive at your client's place according to your instruction. You may just have to wait outside, such as during your home visit to some elderly person. You might just have to wait outside of the building, outside of the house, wait for your other client, which is the English-speaking professional, to arrive. But a lot of my case, such as court cases, police cases, I have to actually go to a specific counter where I'll need to speak to the staff at the counter. And they are the one who can help you to identify who are you working with, who are you interpreting for, and where you should go. This is very, very important, especially if your client is located in a huge building with many levels and different departments. The Melbourne Magistrates Court, also the St. Vincent Hospitals are the two places I used to go to, and it's just chaotic. Hundreds and thousands of people are walking around, and they could be in any room. They could be in any of the consultants' room, and every day the consultants may be assigned to a different room, and maybe you were interpreting for the exact same client last week. They may be in a very different room, even in a different floor of the building. So you need to get to the front desk, the coordinator. Some hospital, they might have interpreters liaison office. You need to speak to these people first. When you arrive, you need to talk to them, show up, tell them who you are, let them know who your clients are, and sometimes they will let you know who your clients will be, and they will let you know where to go. So these are the first most important people that you need to get to, know them, and they will help you to direct you to go to the place that you're supposed to be. And other than that, the front desk people, they are the one who will be the one who signs you in or sign you off. For example, the dental health hospital in Colton, they require you to sign in. They will take a picture of you, just like now. They will have a little iPad, and they will take a picture of you. You will have to sign in using your finger, pinching your name. They'll print out a little name tag for you, and you'll put it on yourself. And some schools, when I do interpreting for parents teachers interview, they will ask you to sign in. They will make a visitor's tag, and you have to put on a little thing that you put on, and to indicate that you're a visitor. So these are the steps that you should never skip, unless you want to risk getting to the wrong place, interpreting for the wrong people, or simply not able to accomplish your interpreting task due to the fact that you didn't get the right person. No one tells you who are you interpreting with. And these people are the most important first point of contact, the front desk people. Always look for either the front desk counter, the receptionist, or there are some agencies such as the St. Vincent Hospital, they do have the interpreting liaison office. These are the common ones in the hospitals. Get to those points of information, work with them, ask questions, show up yourself, show the name of your clients. If you have your phone like this, right? Always open up your email, show them. They will ask you for client ID, UR number, show them exactly what you need. So that's why you need to make sure you always had your cell phone charged up the night before, so that when you arrive, you can show them where you are after, who you are after, at the most, at your convenience. So they will let you know, and you will get to the right place. Getting to the right place at the right time. Once you get this two done, and as long as you are well prepared, this is already 50% of your job done. Okay. So once that's finished, you will go to you know where you're going, you know who you are, you know who you are interpreting for. The next step is you arrive at the place, such as the correct courtroom, the correct consultation room, and now you are sitting with the two sides of your clients. So it is important to have a good first impression, if I may say, or establish a rapport with your clients in general. So when you enter into a courtroom or enter into a consultant's room or any room, first you will always have to introduce yourself. It is quite simple. Introducing yourself is just 2 or 3 sentences. Hello, good morning or good afternoon. My name is so-and-so. My name is Hong Yao. My name is Isaac Wu. I am your interpreters today. And to be honest, to avoid any hustle, you should say, I am your Mandarin interpreter. I'm your Cantonese interpreter this morning or this afternoon. Because believe it or not, sometime when I arrive at the consultation room, when I arrive at the dental office, at the theater, and there are a few cases where they thought I was a Vietnamese, a Burmese, a Indonesian, Bahasa, whatever interpreter they thought I am, but I'm not. I could only interpret Mandarin and Cantonese. So always, stress and tell them that who are you interpreting? Double check on your phone, the name's right, the UR's right, the reference number's right, and what language can you interpret, such as Mandarin or Cantonese. And they will know. Once that's done, then you can start. And that's how, by introducing yourself, they will know how to address you, Mr. Hongyawu, Mr. Isaac, or just Isaac. And of course, the doctors, the lawyers, sometimes they will introduce themselves, and that's how you start. Having a good start, just like turning on your car, turn on the engine, is a very important first step. You should never just rush into a room and say, "Hi, I'm the interpreter. Let's start," and sit down and start. Don't do that. I don't think I've ever done that, but I heard there were cases where interpreters going to their client for the first time ever, they basically make everyone confused. That actually do happen, believe it or not. So you should never do that as a professional new interpreter. So once the effort has been done, once everyone knows who's who, then next you have to work with them in a cooperative manner. What you could always do is always trying to, in a polite way, request your clients to speak in short sentences or manageable length. Okay, don't just go on for 2 minutes without stopping and expect you to interpret whatever he or she just said. No. Always tell your clients, especially I would say some of, not only the professional, even some of the Chinese client that I went into, they seem pretty eager to tell the judge, tell the doctor what the situation is. Oh, I was this and that, and sometimes they like to go in circle. They never tell you what the point is. They would tell about what happened to them. As I said in my previous videos, there was 8 years ago I had this injury and whatever. You should always make sure you tell them that you are interpreting for them, but to make sure, to ensure the accuracy of your interpretation, you should always remind them to try to speak in shorter sentence, 3-4 sentences maximum at a time. And once you do that, you establish this line of communication between you, the non-English speaking person, and the English speaking client. So this is how it works. People talk in turns. A speaks, you interpret, B understand, reply, you interpret, and then A reply again. This is like a triangle that goes around. So it might look pretty simple, but without you telling them almost constantly, unless your professional and especially your non-English speaking client had used interpreters previously, they will need to be educated. Believe it or not, there are so many cases where someone who engaged an interpreter for the first time, they don't know what to do. They're all freaked out. They don't know when to stop. They don't know when to start. They are looking at you like this. This could happen. So you have to establish an effort and role and like a rule of speaking in turn with your two clients or sometimes many clients. And once you do that, you need to speak to them, and they will, of course, just do whatever I was talking about. You should understand, take notes if necessary, assure you're interpreting, assure what you understand, and then you can always ask questions, ask them to repeat if necessary. But if you couldn't catch something, you ask one of them to repeat. Make sure you use the language that they understand first and say, "Excuse me, there is something that I would like to clarify with so-and-so, so please wait." And then you use the other language to ask the person who just spoke to clarify. And you can, that's how communication is established. I'm not saying that you should do that all the time. A good interpreting service is, I would say, invisible. The best interpreters are the invisible interpreters, where you hear it, you understand it, you assure it, you can interpret it right away. So this is try to maintain a smooth communication sequence. So this is important. We have to work in a team. If you don't introduce yourself, they don't know how to address you. If you don't tell them to speak in turn, if you don't first indicate to them that they should speak in a relatively short sentences, they won't. Some of them, they might go on forever. They might go on for 5 minutes, and you are just basically busy taking notes, and the risk of omissions and misinterpretation is just too big. So it's important that you have to establish the protocol right at the beginning. Okay, so Now, once this is finished, the professional and or the client will just say hello or thank you very much, bye bye. And after that, as an etiquette, you should always ask the professional, is this your last client? Is there anyone else that requires interpreting service? Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Mostly don't. If you go to lawyer office and or I think in the court, like in the tribunals, I don't think there are many clients at one time, but there are some cases in the big public hospital. You might just have to interpret for several clients, or the other way around. The public hospital might hand you a sheet of schedule. Again, it's the front desk or the liaison office. They'll give you a schedule telling you to speak to 10 or 20 clients within your 90-minute shift or 2-hour shift. And they will ask you to speak to 5 clients, 6 clients, and you have to let your doctor or your professional person know that, okay, doctor, I only have so and so 10 minutes here, so please, I will need to go by this time. So be aware of the time, and they will try to speed up. They will try to go accordingly. Well, if they are considerate, but there are some doctors who they don't care, or they really just have too much thing to say. So they may go on and on and on. And at this time, if you don't want to miss the next appointment, there are 2 things. First, you have to tell both parties that it is your time's up. You have to go to the next client, and then so please wrap up. And second thing is try to always remind them that when you only have 5 minutes left, give them a reminder. When you only have 10 minutes left, give them a reminder. So they will speed up. They will manage some time. And if at the end of your shift, your 20-minute shift, you still couldn't make it, the doctor will. They are fully understandable. They will definitely get a telephone interpreters, or they will let you go. And once you're done, you can move on to your next level, next room, and found your next client. So once this is done, the next person that you need to work for, once again, you've done your interpreting, you then need to, again, work with the front desk staff. And they are the one who will sign you off. Remember, a lot of agencies, it is required that you need to be signed off by the front desk staff. If you not sign off, either in a paper or electronic device, you are not getting paid. So they will have to sign you up, and it will say that what's your name, when do you come, what are the dates, what time did you arrive, what time do you finish, sometimes even the client details, and you jot down the details, sign your name, write the dates, and you must make sure the person who either work for the front desk or the liaison office signed you off. Once you sign off, you have to prove that you have performed your service, you've done what you should do, and then you will get paid by your agency. Your agency, right? They don't know what happened. Okay, to be honest, they all rely on the sign off. And just say if you're going to a home visit and then your clients there were cases where I was going to interpret for someone, but the client was dead. Okay, this old gentleman passed away the night before or that very morning, and when I arrived, the service was no longer required. So at this time, you need to again go back to the agency and tell them that, look, the gentleman passes away. The family did not, indicate to the agents that my service no longer required. You have to speak to your agency, and they will then sign you off on the system manually. So these little things that you need to keep in mind if you want to perform your job, you want everything to go smoothly, and most importantly, you want to get paid for your work. Okay, and sign off. And then next one, there are other things that you need to be aware of. Beside the professional, of course, there are other colleagues or other parties that you might require assistance with. Look, cases such as in a remote interpreting scenario, when you interpret through a video conference. Okay, this is very common nowadays due to the coronavirus or the pandemic. Um, I think that then you are doing everything over the video. Okay. Once you do things over the video, sometime maybe the camera got stuck, maybe the internet wasn't working, maybe the whole machine got turned off by itself. And you should always remember that you're not the ones who should solve this problem. You should always ask who are the professional, where are the tech guys, how can I get in touch with them, ask the professional, ask your client who may be a lawyer, a doctor, to get to the tech guys, the technical support team to come in and do all this stuff. And you need to let them know that I'm the interpreter, my time is limited. And without doing so, you can't really, continue because you don't have the, knowledge, and you don't have the technical skills to fix the technical problems. You don't want to break the computers while trying to fix it, um, and then you have to pay for it. So these people or other, I would say, other parties that you should also be aware of that you are specialized in interpreting. You don't need to take care of everything. And other things such as, I would say, um, other colleagues are the last thing that I would like to mention. I put them at the last because sometimes they could be your last resort. There are, of course, many interpreters who speak the same language as you do. In my language in particular, the Mandarin language, there are many of them. And sometimes, emergency happens, right? You accepted a job a week ago to go to the hospital 7 o'clock in the morning, and but the night before you don't feel well, you are having a stomach ache, you're having a temperature, and you might be thinking maybe it's not a good time for me to go to that particular appointment for your own and for other people's safety. And having a good relationship with other fellow interpreters is useful. You can always speak to your fellow interpreters, your colleagues. Like us, we even had a WeChat group where, or I would say several WeChat group where we can always put in the jobs that we either accidentally accepted, jobs that we no longer able to be available, jobs that we realize that may have conflict of interest, these jobs that are not suitable to go to anymore. Instead of handing back to the agency directly and increase their workload, of course, either half you will increase their workload, but you can always speak to your fellow colleagues and ask whosoever will be available to take this job over. And instead of the agency putting this job on the system again, especially if it's just the day before, you could always have someone who you already know, who's willing to go, who had the time to go to this particular job. And you can tell your agency that I had a colleague who's willing to go to this particular job on my behalf. So this job could be transferred to your colleague. So having a good relationship with your colleagues is an important part of your relationship and networking as well. And your colleagues could be your best friend. Sometime on the court, when you're interpreting for your clients, maybe the judge or the lawyer may be, they may be constantly mentioning one or two terms that you don't really understand. And then, there's a lot of things going on, and you might not want to turn on your Wi-Fi and start checking out Google translation about what that word is. Maybe you couldn't even catch the spelling of the word. You can always ask your colleagues for help. And as fellow interpreters, we should always remember professional solidarity is very, very important. So whenever someone needs your help, you should always, to your best of your ability, help them out. And we should always watch each other's back. So your fellow interpreters, colleagues are possibly your most useful resource to be relying on when you are accepting community interpreting jobs. So and of course there are other things that you may not involve in your everyday interpreting assignments. Maybe other professional. Maybe you got injured um, at a job, or maybe you had some uh, vicarious trauma due to the fact that you interpreted for a horrible murder case, you interpreted for whatever child abuse case, family violence case. You don't feel comfortable, or maybe you interpreted for a palliative service case where it reminds you of your late grandparents. That's fine. You can always look for someone who can help you out with this. These are other professional uh, assistant that you can always try to engage, or engage through your agents, and they are more than happy to help you, and you are more than welcome to go engage them. So I hope this video will give you a brief idea of how teamwork really involved in this seemingly individualized career that you are taking. And always remember, you're not working alone here. You're not alone. You can always get help. Some people can always provide you with um, insight or with assistance whenever you need it. And working as a community interpreter, it is very important to always have a close and a good relationship with your clients, your agency, and other colleagues. And with their help, your life will be much easier. And so thank you very much for today. So I wish you all of you well, and take care of yourself. Yeah.